Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, Micah Let's Play, and guess who I am? I'm Micah, because who else would I be? You already know. You already know why you play it. Anywho's, guys, today I'm so excited. Today we're going to do a deep dive analysis onto the Hogwarts Legacy gameplay that we got to see just a few days ago with Avalanche Systems, with Chandler Wood, XpectoGO, and the other two amazing designers, Boston and Alan, and they went over, the character creation, the Hogwarts tour, and combat. And I am going to do a separate video on the combat system because it's very intuitive. There's some things I really noticed that I liked that I do want to talk about more in detail. And we are going to do a Hogwarts tour, but not like a typical ordinary tour. You're talking to me, Micah Let's Play. I got something crazy up my sleeve, and I cannot wait to do it because it's going to be so much fun. And I want to give you guys an actual authentic Hogwarts experience, as if one of the founders themselves invited you to go on a tour with them. And I hope you guys like it because I think it'll be quite fun. But I'm pretty sure you didn't come here to look at my face. You came here to do an analysis, right? This is why I freeze framed all this shit. And it's on YouTube, so, expect, random bits of weirdness happening. But anywho's, so first and foremost, let's talk about the character creator, because I think the character creator on this game is literally, it's next level. Like, I was so impressed with the character creation mode. And as you can see here on screen, again, I just like the design. And I gotta say, again, before we continue, the black hair, again, Avalanche Studios, if you randomly run across this video, which I don't think you will, but if you do, from an African American telling you thank you for giving us our hair and making it look beautiful. You guys did such a good job. I cannot wait to create a character of color like myself and to play with the hair and do something unique and creative. I have no idea what, but I have some ideas, because we're gonna have to do multiple playthroughs on this game, because oh my god. And then I found some stuff out, like someone did some data mining and they discovered the trophies you earn in the game, and I overheard it on Rapporteur's channel. Here's his icon here. I don't really remember the proper name of the channel. I randomly ran across it, and almost all, if not every single trophy in the game is mentioned in that video. So it's very spoiler heavy. So if you don't want to be spoiled, don't go watch it. But his video will be in the his link to the video will be in the video description. So watch it. You've been warned. Watch it at your own peril. But yeah, I was shocked with all of the trophies in there. I'm just putting that out there. But going back to this deep dive analysis, again, the hair and the skin and this character creation, I think, is next level. It is so good and it's so well done. And again, this is coming from a company like Avalanche. I mean, this isn't what is it? This isn't like a not Devil May Cry. This isn't like Red Dead Redemption 2 or Ghost of Tsushima. We're not talking about one of those kind of games. We're talking about a Harry Potter game. And from what I'm seeing, I'm very impressed with from what I've seen. And like I said in my first video when I talked about it, when I did my first breakdown, I have never played a Harry Potter game before in my life. I've never been interested in them. I only like the books and I like the movies, and that's pretty much it. I like the book so much I have it on Audible, and I got physical copies somewhere in my house. But yeah, I like the world that much. And so for a company to actually get me excited to play a Harry Potter game, it's because we all want that experience of going to Hogwarts. And I think what they're doing is just A++ in my book. But let's get back to this character creation. I'm just totally blown away with it. I love the look of all of the characters. I like the fact that you can do things with the faces. Like, for example, here, this I love so much. I love the fact that they have glasses in the game that you can wear. You can choose your own face. You can add scars. I just hope we can do a forehead freckle you know, because that's what I have. And if that's in the game, hell yeah. And then I will literally put myself in the game because come on now. And I just think this is so cool. So for me, I like it. Now, here's some things I noticed. One thing I noticed is that it doesn't matter what gender you are, you can use whatever hairstyle you want, and I thought that was very interesting. I like the fact that they did that, so there aren't really too many gender barriers. So I think that's like really cool that they try, like, you know, they're trying things, you know, they're stepping out, doing something, you know, most companies would do as like a joke, but it's just a part of the features. You can choose whatever hairstyle you want for any gender of your choice. So I think that's really cool. So I'm excited to see what type of character customizations someone can come up with using these tools at your disposal. And mind you, they didn't finish with all of the faces and the hair. Remember, you know, they only have 45 minutes to really dive into this, to really kind of like look at everything. So I thought that was really cool. Now here's the other thing I thought was pretty cool that I like, was this page right here when you get to the final tab, the Hogwarts logo. Now the funny thing is, Chandler said you don't select your house when you do this. This is just like finalizing your character. With the voice tone, the pitch of it, choosing if you're gonna do like the difficulty on the story. So there's like the story mode for like just generic gamers or people who don't normally game. They can just play the story without worrying about, oh, I have to be good at this. You know, it's not like you're playing, you know, again, Ghost of Tsushima or Neo 2 or one of those like, you know, Devil May Cry games, like, you know, where you gotta be, as the game designers would say, get good to play. So for me, when I do this, I'm gonna play normal because that's what I always do when I get to a game. I usually start at normal. Now if I realize that I'm struggling in an area, I might adjust it to easy, but if I feel like I'm handling it and normal's too easy, then I might bump it up to hard because I want a challenge, you know, and that's just me. But I think that's really cool that they thought of that. So again, snaps to you, Avalanche, because y'all are really doing your thing and you're doing good. The other thing I noticed is that your character's name, there's no name. There's no, because you know, like if you play like a Mass Effect game or you play like another game where you can customize your character, usually they allow you to have a first name. But the surname, the last name, is always something people say. So again, let's use Commander Shepard, you know? It doesn't matter if Shepard is a woman or a man, but the name Shepard is always acknowledged. You know, they always acknowledge you as Shepard. Or like, say if you play Dragon Age, they acknowledge you as the Inquisitor. Or like if you play as an elf, they address you as Laveline, you know, Inquisitor Laveline, you know? And so I think that's really cool that your character, you can put your first and last name, or you can create a name, or whatever you want to do. I think this is so cool, but what I'm curious is, how do they address you? Because one of the characters just only addressed you as, oh, you know, if a strong and, you know, talented fifth year could help me. And we'll get to her in a minute when we go further into the tour. But I think it's what's interesting about this is that it tells you you cannot proceed until you name your character. So I'm wondering, and now mind you, they didn't go too far into this, but I'm wondering because in the game of, what is the name of that game? Oh God, the name of that stupid game, Fallout. In Fallout 4, there are preset names in the game that you can use that the computer or that the NPCs will address you as. And I thought that was very interesting. So I'm curious, are there preset names that you can, even though it says create your own name, but is there a software in here that identifies your name? So for example, if you say certain words or say certain vowels, the computer could automatically, you know, see the spelling of a name and, you know, say the spelling. That's kind of how Siri works. You know, because just with vowel sounds. So I'm curious, is it that intuitive? But I don't think it is. So I'm wondering, are they just going to address you as student or hero? So I'm just very curious with that. Another thing I thought was very progressive is down here, where even though your specific gender is like male or female, but you can be identified as witch or wizard, and that determines the dormitory you're in. So again, very forward thinking, very progressive game design. So again, Avalanche, I think that's really cool. So yeah, so again, the game creator, like the character creation, I think is really cool. Oh, one thing I do want to point out, and I said this in my actual reaction, when they got to scars, when you get to the scars, and they were showing the scars, and I'm gonna do this one right here because I'm kind of like Chandler and James from XpectoGO. I like the eye scar. I think that's really cool, very badass looking. I'm wondering, what is this scar for? Is this related to the narrative? You know, and if you have this scar, will the NPCs address that you have a facial scar? So I'm very curious to see how this is gonna play into the game, because I was like cheerleading and coaching from the couch saying, oh, you know, ask why is this is this just, you know, for like facial dressing, or is this part of the story? Because remember, our character survived something. So what is this? Are these lichen scars? Is this a dragon attack? Even though dragons have very big fucking claws, but still, is this like a dragon scar? Is this a magical scar? Like, what is this? Is this a vampiric attack? Like, I must know. You must tell me. And I cannot wait for this game to come out because I'm so excited to uncover this mystery. It's just, oh, it's so good. Okay, now let's move on. I know a lot of you probably saying, Micah, you're talking too much. I don't give a goddamn. There's just so much information in here, and I think it's really cool. So now, let's jump to the common room. First and foremost, they literally brought Hogwarts to life. Again, how do I put this? Me and my wife we were having a conversation earlier, and she said, you know, it's you know, you romanticize or you fall in love with the idea of something. Remember, like I said, like I had this whole discussion on The Little Mermaid, because they, you know, for those of you who don't know, there's a new Disney movie coming out, and Ariel is now a chocolate sister, and she's gorgeous. People get married to a specific idea or a specific look of something, you know, for a lack of a better expression or word. But seeing this, because you know what, when we read the books, you know, you read the books and you have an idea in your mind. But then the movies came out, and the movies took what, you know, KJ Rowling put in her book and then put it on the screen, and it was beautiful and it was amazing and you wanted to go there, right? And then you see what they've done here. And this is just a common room, and we've never seen the common room other than, you know, Gryffindor and Slytherin. The others we just never saw. But to see the Hufflepuff room, the common room, and this is just one of the dormitories because there's a whole bunch more. Again, it's just beautifully done, and it makes you feel like as if the films had recorded it, if these scenes had been recorded or had been fully explained in the books, this is what it would look like. It's like they tapped into KJ's mind and was able to unearth these ideas, you know, and or dig up these ideas. And I just think, again, I am just blown away with the sheer level of detail, you know, from Avalanche. And again, I'm not trying to hype it up. I'm just really saying, like, you know, I mean, even XpectoGO was just blown away, and you could see the pride on Boston and Alan's faces, as they should, because, you know, Boston was the environmental director. Like, this is her vision, you know, she's the Hogwarts expert, and just like, look at all this stuff. And we're gonna dive into this a little bit more. I just wanted to touch on that. And I love how Alan is just explaining everything about the screen. And like I said, the interface, we'll talk about the interface in a minute. And UI, for those of you who don't understand, is user interface. UI, user interface. Just in case you didn't know. So now let's move past this. You see the owl, you see the apples. I'm just waiting for it to actually jump to where it's once again full screen. I don't think it goes full screen again. But okay, here we go. So a few things I noticed outside of everything else is that I noticed that there are things like you can see right here with the teacup. You can see the teacup right there. So it means like it's an interactive. You can drink from it. Of course, you know, you see your owl, and I love how they have the little pan down here so your owl, when it goes for a poop, it doesn't poop on the floor. I like that. I think that's really cool. And I think this must be your bed. If you're a Hufflepuff, this is your bed, because if you can see here, they have like the what is it, the ever flavor beans and like a chocolate frog. I'm so sorry, this is jumping around. I'm trying to get to that. I'm trying to get to that sweet spot. Here we go. You know, the fact that you have like the chocolate frog here, and you have like little candies, you have a book, you have like a little tankard there. Like, is that butterbeer, or what were you drinking the night before? Hot chocolate? And I like how the beds look. And even though no one's in the room, it looks like the room looks very lived in. Like, it looks like as if people were literally in here maybe moments ago. They made their beds and they're off running. Again, I love the photos on the wall. Again, a lot of this stuff is just, it's just really good. It's next level. I love this little wash basin here. I think that's like a nice little attention to detail that they have that. You see the, I believe this is the Chudley Cannons, the very popular Quidditch team during, I believe it was during this time. So I think that's really cool. There's just like a lot of little details in here that I thought was absolutely amazing. And again, the color is so warm, it's so vibrant. And I love how Boston was saying they really tried to create that badger den, like low ceilings. And again, this is just amazing attention to detail, and the fact that you have snacks everywhere in the Hufflepuff common room and the Hufflepuff dormitory. Again, Helga, I love you, because honestly, who doesn't like a bunch of goodies around, like when you're like studying? Like, I think about when you were in school, right? Like, you know, a nice comfortable couch or bed and some good snacks, maybe some music playing, and like you're studying. So good. So for me, I had a literal moment of flashback to my childhood, just seeing little things like this. So again, amazing attention to detail. And again, I just want to give them so much like props for this. No load time, so you just zoop right into the screen. And I love the fact that you see all the different dormitories. I love, to me, one of my favorite things about the common rooms is that in my opinion, Hufflepuff's is the most warm and inviting of the common rooms. I think Ravenclaw's is the most beautiful, but my personal favorite is Slytherin. And yes, I'm fucking biased. But again, like, just look at this, like these little badger dens, like these little very adorable, what do you want to call them? Like hobbit holes. Like, you know, if you read some Tolkien, like, it's just so good. It's so good. It's so well done. But the thing I love more than anything is the greenery and the natural sunlight. And you see the flute network right there, students just chilling. And just, you know, and again, I love the sound effects, even though I have it muted, but all of the sound is so good. Like this scene right here, when you see the paintings moving and Andrew looks up, this is a money shot right here. Like, it is so beautiful, like so well done. I love it so much. But okay, things I want to talk about in this common room outside of the dancing plants, and you see a picture of Helga Hufflepuff, the NPCs. Now, for some people were saying that they felt like there wasn't enough going on with the NPCs, and they had like these vacant expressions, and it seems kind of like there's not enough atmosphere. During these sections of the game, they had the audio down, so you couldn't hear all of the children talking amongst one another. And the thing is that these are NPCs. They're not as important to the story. Again, this isn't like, you know, Red Dead Redemption 2 or, you know, or like an Assassin's Creed game where there's so much going on at one time, you know, or even, what's that other game? Witcher 3. You know, this game is, you know, it's not that type of game. This is more like a Harry Potter game, and I like that it's a, you know, there's variety in the type of games you like. So again, you know, some people were disappointed with this. For me, this didn't bother me at all, because I wasn't expecting more than what I'm seeing, you know? And I just really like it. I love the fact that you see like the student here. I don't know, for me, this place feels lived in, it feels loved, it feels like as if it's like Hogwarts itself is a character and it's telling you a story. So I really appreciate it. I really loved it. I thought it was so cool. I want to go here to, I believe he goes up to the frame of Helga Hufflepuff. One thing I want to also point out is that you see the bread right here. Like, again, there's so many goodies in this common room. It's next level. Sorry, I just bumped my mic. Okay, and then up here, I love the badges. I love the attention to detail. So good. Excuse me. So I'm wondering, can you talk to Helga? Because, you know, in the books, you could talk to Dumbledore. You know, and you could talk to a lot of paintings in the Harry Potter world. So I'm wondering, will you get an opportunity to get the chance to talk to Helga Hufflepuff? And I'm wondering, is she voice acted? You know, I'm just very curious about these little details and these things, even though it doesn't show an interactive on it, but I'm just curious. Okay, now let's move out of here. Okay. So right here, where you do the Revelio, and I love the sound that you get with this, very magical. And I like how you get this little bit of information. So basically, it's telling you right here to enter the Hufflepuff common room. You have to one must tap the barrel that's from the bottom, the middle barrel from the second at the bottom, whatever, and you have to tap it in the rhythm of Helga Hufflepuff. And if there is an error in the tap, you get doused in vinegar. And that, of course, you know, that's very common knowledge within the wizarding world, but I like that you get that little Easter egg right there. And I'm wondering, when you first enter your common room, because they showed in the Autodesk State of Play right here, you actually see the protagonist, or you as the character, knock in the rhythm of Helga Hufflepuff. You know, so I'm wondering, you know, is it like something you do one time and then because you did it, it just always opens for you? So I'm just curious to how that plays out, because I think that'll be very beneficial, that you don't always have to tap in that rhythm. But it would be interesting to see you get doused with vinegar, or see someone get doused with vinegar. I think that would be really cool. And then, of course, as you continue here, where is it? You get to run past this area here. And I love all the pictures. And of course, right here, you notice there's another Revelio. So the Revelio gives you another hint about tickling a peach to get into the kitchens, where you run into, where you would run into the house elves. So I'm wondering, in the kitchen, you know, do any of the house elves, do they have any missions for you or assignments? I think that would be fun to help the house elves. I think that would be awesome. I really like that. And of course, you see right here, there's another interactive thing to do, which I think is amazing. Again, we're gonna keep moving, but there's just so many things here that I noticed that I really, really like. This is something else I noticed. For one, I like that it auto saves, because you notice that the little magical flame and Peeves, I love that you hear him coming and then you see him slide down. I think that is just so fucking amazing. I love that we have Peeves, and I wish we would have got him in the movies, but sadly, for those of you who don't know, if you've ever seen a movie called Drop Dead Fred, I forget the actor's name. He's a British gentleman, a redhead. He's awesome. He was hilarious. This is his image right here. He was originally in the original film, but the director didn't like the way he looked and felt like he didn't fit, so they just cut all his scenes out. But technically, they were gonna put Peeves in the film, and since they didn't put him in the first one, they just decided not to keep him at all. But it would have been nice to have Peeves in the movie. I don't know, because I just think his character is fascinating. Annoying, but fascinating. And you get to see him sliding down. So I'm wondering, if you had stayed downstairs when he slid down, would you have an interaction with him? I'm very curious to know what happens if you actually interact with Peeve, or if you ever get that opportunity. And of course, you know, you see more snacks, and then there's something else in front of here. This, like, it looks like a chest, not necessarily a chest, more like a glass casing. There's an interactive there, so I'm very curious to see what happens when you interact with that. Again, I love it. And the voice actor for Peeves sounds very similar to, if you've ever read the Audible books, I forget his name, I believe his name is James, the voice actor. He sounds very much like James, the voice actor for the Audible book. So I'm very curious, is that the same guy, or is it someone else doing it? Or did he listen to James and do his own voice for Peeves? I just think it's very well done, and I'm very, very impressed. Okay, and of course, you know, we run upstairs, and now this is the other thing I wanted us to get to, was the book. Oh, and if you notice, that is a Deathly Hallows symbol, and there's more of them. And you see where it says roll right here. Hold on. So apparently you're supposed to spin this. I'm gonna get back to this. I'm so sorry, guys. Hi, Peeves. Bye, Peeves. We get to the top of the stairs, And you notice how Andrew turns towards it, like right here, but it's upside down. So it's a Deathly Hallows symbol, but it's upside down. And you see if you interact with it, you roll it, so it rolls right side up. So I'm wondering, is this a treasure? Not a treasure, a collectible, or kind of like, what do you call those things? Like when, yeah, it's a collectible where you go around and you collect all the items, or you do something to activate something. So I'm wondering, is this a challenge in the school? Because remember when I told you about Rocketeur, his video is in the video, his link is in the video description, so you can check it out. Is this one of the challenges or trophies you unlock in the game? So I'm very, very, very curious to see what this is. But you know, they don't address it at all. He just turns away from it. And then of course, you know, they go to this amazing Paul scene right here. Now, okay, first and foremost, this looks amazing. Now, this is a ministry approved guidebook. So basically the ministry gives you this book to help you catch up with your fellow students. This is what Alan was explaining. And I love the fact that there's so many things going on with this field guide. So that the Autodex presentation where you see Professor Weasley giving you the book, when the student's like, what's this? And she's like, it's your field guide for you to collect all your information to help you. I'm not a lip reader, but I'm assuming that's kind of like in the ballpark of what she said. For you to, it's to help you keep track of your assignments in school. So if you look here, there's some things I wanted to note. There's your quest, there's your map, there's your owl posts that I noticed as well. There's settings, and then challenges, collectibles, collections. So I think that, again, where you go to the Deathly Hallows symbol, I think that might be tied in with that. Of course, you have talents here, inventory, gear, and your level. And I like how the fact that, you know, the badger symbol of Hufflepuff it's superimposed on the cover of the ministry manual. So the M, which I thought might have meant Merlin, but the M might stand for ministry on the book. But anywho, so as you go through this actually has a lot of things in here, but I noticed that talents are grayed out. So it means you haven't gone to class yet to learn any talents for you to like upgrade, because you already have Wingardium Leviosa and Accio are two spells I know you already have within what you have within your combat diamond, your spell diamond. So I'm curious to know what is going to be the spell that unlocks everything. So I'm just very, very curious. I really think this is really cool. I love the fact that they have quest and gear already like highlighted. So that means you go to it. Also with your challenges. So when you start doing the Revelio spell, which is kind of like a spell that's kind of like your bread and butter. It's like something you need always to reveal or to do Lumos or something like that. Which again, when I do my in-depth analysis on the spell diamond and combat, I'll talk a little bit more about that in detail. But again, I love the attention to detail here. I think this is really cool, and I'm very excited to see what spells we get and how the challenges work, and also owl posts. So I'm wondering, does this work with your companions, or is there someone outside of Hogwarts that you're in communication with? So I'm very, very, very curious. And then another thing that I saw that I really liked is that when you open the book, hold on, let's go to the open page right here where it says combat. So it keeps up with it tracks your combat, it tracks your quests, and I love that it's a Dragonade. Exploring, so when you're outside and you're exploring outside of Hogwarts, field guide pages, and you see the ancient flame, and you actually see here your field guide, you already got 1% there. And then room of requirement, so you actually get to track things in the room of requirement. So I am very curious to see when you actually do get your own room requirement and you start to have all your plants and spells, and you have your vivarium with your menagerie of beasts, and you have your home. So all these things get to level up. So I'm gonna try my damnedest to do 100% playthrough for overall progress, you know. So I'm very excited to see this. I think, again, I love this attention to detail. It just has me very excited. But are you excited about this kind of stuff? And what are the things that you're most excited to level up and work on? Is it spells and talents? Is it the quest? Is it what is it out of this that you're really excited about? For me, I'm excited about quests, exploring, to be exploratory, and to get outside of Hogwarts, and also the Room of Requirement. I'm very excited about those things in particular. And I like the fact that the game is not necessarily linear. You know, it's not like you have to go to class every single day, because also that was something else I wanted Expecto to talk about, but since Alan kind of mentioned it, I was like, oh, okay, that's a fair answer. Is that I was thinking it would be more like, I don't know if you've ever played a Persona game, but in Persona, there is actually a calendar. So Monday through Friday, like a Monday through Saturday calendar where you go to school every day. For those of you who don't know, in Japan, they go to school 6 days a week, and they're only off on Sundays. I believe in the United States and in Europe, London and all those other wonderful places, I believe school is 5 days a week, and you have Friday and Saturday and Sunday off. But if you're in a different part of the world and your school system is different, let me know. But I'm just speaking for, I believe in the same in Harry Potter in Scotland, where they were at school, and here in America, go to school 5 days a week. So I was wondering if there was a calendar like that, like Persona, where you go to school and you have so many hours in your day where you do go to school, you may hang out afterwards, you go like to work or something. So tying back that into this, you don't have to necessarily go to class every day. It's more like you go to class and it helps you unlock spells, meaning there's a progression, like you need to have a certain spell available to you to progress in the main storyline. But other than that, you can do a lot of side quests and all that stuff. But what I do know is that I believe it strengthens your relationship with your professor and classmate, I believe, when you go to class more often. So I think that's very interesting, and I want to know how that system actually works, because like I said, in Persona, which I love that game, you get to there's so many cool things. Like you can choose to go to school, you can choose to play hooky, and then after school you can go do a bunch of stuff. So I think it's really cool that you have that. And then of course, you know, in Persona you have the midnight hour where you go on the midnight channel and you go saving people. So, and then also the day and night cycle, and we'll touch on the day and night cycle in a little bit. But I really like what I saw in this, and I'm very excited to go to class, because I'm gonna get my Hermione Granger on. I'm gonna be in class, I'm gonna learn those spells, and I'm gonna kick some ass, you know? What are you gonna do? So, okay, so now let's get to this right here. The main staircase. So when I saw this, I noticed that there's an opening right here. So I don't know if you guys remember in the maybe this isn't an opening, but it looks like an opening here. Now, I don't know if you guys remember in the state of play footage, that 14-minute, where you see the protagonist walking down the stairs and you notice the stairs are sliding in. So I'm wondering, will we see stairs just moving around when we're not on them? So I'm very curious to see how that's gonna work. And again, this just reminds me of like, oh, this is just it during the day, but during the nighttime, you know, like that day and night cycle. Like when I saw this, I was like, oh, I wish we could have saw some nighttime activity, but you know, we can only do the daytime. It's okay. And then you see this beautiful tapestry right here. Like, look at this, man. Such attention to detail, so good. And again, it just makes you feel like, even though again we notice it's a video game and none of this is real, but it just makes you feel like you're there, like you're literally walking in the halls of Hogwarts. And it just makes you feel like, you know, even though of course the letter's not real, but it makes you feel like you finally got your letter and you can literally go to the school of your dreams and, you know, make friends, learn magic, and have this amazing and out of this world adventure, you know? So for me, I'm just so excited about this. But let's move on, shall we? So good. I'm so excited for this. And again, to Rowena Ravenclaw for coming up with this. Girl, snaps to you. Okay. So now, the other thing I wanted to touch on was the hourglasses here. Oh my God. I'm so sorry if my claps are hurting your ears, but fuck yeah. When I saw this, I was like, yeah. But there's something, I don't know if you guys noticed in this little area. I don't know where it is exactly, but you notice a little like goldeny flash somewhere. Hold on, let me see if I can find it. Right here, I don't know if you could see it that well because, you know, the quality, but there's a little glowy thing right here. So that means that's an area where you can do Revelio and reveal something about the hourglasses. And I love the attention to detail. The Slytherin with the silver and jade, the Ravenclaw with bronze and sapphire, and I noticed that with the Hufflepuff, it's wood. So I thought that was nice, and of course with the Gryffindor is the red, and it's the rubies and the gold. So I like this attention to detail. I love the shields. There's just so much for your eyes to absorb within this. So literally, this alone will take you forever to get through, but we gotta keep going, right? You know, I don't think you guys want to watch a 4-hour video of me talking to you about this shit. Maybe you do, I don't know. And then of course, because Andrew, you're a dick, he teases the main hall door where you go and have lunch, you know, and I'm like, why didn't you just go pop your head in? Nobody would tell anybody. It's not like it'll wind up on YouTube, you know? And I'm just like, I was so excited to see that. Just made me just really excited. And then again, the zero load time where you're walking through the door, because this castle is massive, my guys. And to see this is just so good. And I love this right here, that they did some fan servicey with Accio, and he gets it, and it gives you XP every time you do something like that. So again, I love the fact that when you collect those pages, it adds to your field guide manual. Like, you capture those loose pages, and I think they said there's over 100 pages floating around that you can find. Amazing. And I love these windows right here. The fact that these are the summertime windows, I cannot wait to see what the other windows look like on the other seasons, like winter and fall and spring. I just think this is so good, and for some reason I get so many massive vibes of Thor. If you guys know what Atrisal is, it's the giant tree that spans the multiverse, that goes to all the different that goes to the 9 realms, and that's what this reminds me of. The design reminds me of that Viking design, which I think is beautiful. And I love, you see the Hogwarts seal right here, the Hogwarts shield when the kids first come to school. And this scene right here, I was just too done when I saw this. I was like, I feel like I'm there in the courtyard. Like, oh my God, where is Ron, Harry, and Hermione? Let's go. I told my wife, I was like, babe, just imagine if we met in Hogwarts. Like, look at the sheer size of this fucking school. And they only did a small percentage of it, a small percentage of the school. And you notice another flute powder. I like the fact that there are so many of those because the school's so goddamn big. It's huge. And I love this right here where you see the students flying on brooms. I love that attention to detail. So that means either they're in class or they're just flying around because they want to. And I think this attention to detail is so good. I love the fact that you see the students just milling around, chilling, having conversations. Sometimes they're reading, sometimes they're walking with books, they're in between classes. Like, I really, really like this. And again, it makes the school feel like you're actually there. You're in the school, you're there, you're interacting with friends. I love this kind of stuff. I think it's so well done. You know, and it's not perfect because it is a video game, but it is what it is. And look, you get to see all of the beautiful land of Scotland. So good. And you get to see the greenhouses right there. And we'll touch on the greenhouses in just a minute. Again, like, I like this. You see these two students right here just chilling and talking, like, and also remember, guys, there's no audio on these parts because, you know, at this point you have Chandler and Alan talking with James, and also Boston. They're all talking at this point, so you can't hear the conversations of the students in this area, so it makes it seem slightly atmosphere-lit. It makes it feel like there's no atmosphere, but there's atmosphere here. There's definitely atmosphere. You just can't hear it because they're talking, and they muted the sound on purpose. So again, just keep that in mind, guys, if you're watching this. But yeah, I just love this here. And again, this right here, this right here, this is one of the Merlin's what do you call these things? One of his puzzles, one of the Merlin's puzzles. And if you notice on both sides, there are icons. So maybe you hit one, then you hit another, and then you do like a magical spell. So this might be very story heavy. So I'm very curious to see how this is gonna work. And then I love how, you know, Chandler was like, oh, do you remember this area? And he was like, oh, this is from the ASMR video, and it is. So springtime and in the rainy time, of the rainy, I think it was the autumn rainy night or something, you see this area. And you see right here, you see the icon right here, so it's an interactable, and you see the beautiful Hogwarts School. And then right there, he tries to turn away from it, but you notice there's another icon over here in this section, so it means it might be a timed puzzle, I'm not sure, but I really like it. Again, just the attention to detail with all of this is so good. This is the area I wanted to get to right here. Kind of like, this is like a hub. Boston was saying this is kind of like a hub area for the school, so if you get lost, and I like how Chandler was like, we designed the game and we still get lost, so I think that's like really cute. It's really cool. It's very, very funny. And again, right there, these people should be fucking applauded for this. This window is fucking gorgeous. And literally on the other side, remember we were upstairs and we ran downstairs, the greenhouses are just beyond those doors. So, you know, and then the Transfiguration Garden is on a yard is on the other side. And it's just like, and we'll talk about classes more as we get to one of the classes. Again, this just reminds me so much of the giant tree of the 9 realms from, you know, Norse mythology. It's so beautiful. If you guys see this, know that I am going crazy over architecture. I told you guys when I was doing my sorting, link will be in the video description, here's the thumbnail, that I love architecture, ancient architecture, that kind of stuff. I get lost in that kind of stuff. As a fellow artist, I love design, all of this. This is so me. Me and Boston would have a fucking field day on this, just having fun. But anywho, I know a lot of you probably saying, Micah, there's nothing really important here, but no, it's the design. And there's a few things in here that I noticed that I wanted to point out. Okay, let's move on, and I'll stop gushing over how gorgeous this all is. I can't wait to go here. This right here, this I think, and I could be wrong, if you guys know better than me, the star, I think this is tied in with Transfiguration. If not Transfiguration, this might be connected to I think, yeah, this is something to do with Transfiguration, because there's a door where there's like animal, but we'll get to that in a second. But I could be wrong. Again, even though I love Harry Potter and I know quite a bit about it, I'm not an expert with everything. So I have no problem with someone telling me, Micah, you're wrong. This is what this is. So if you know, let me know in the comment section. This right here, exquisite, exquisite. And yes, and also you notice the beautiful unicorn that you run past. And look, there's another floating page for you to get. And it's so funny. So many people were like, grab it, grab it, grab it. But I knew Andrew wouldn't grab it anything else because it's too spoilery. And some of the pages, remember when the thing popped up, it tells you, it kind of gives you like, oh, it's a field guide page. So it means when you go into that section, it tells you what page you picked up. So again, I just really like it. I just think this is just incredible. Okay, right here, you see another Deathly Hallows symbol. You see another Deathly Hallows symbol, and it has a question mark on it. So when you roll it, you know, again, does it rotate or does it rotate? You know, I'm curious to know how that actually works. And then right here, this right here, I believe is a part of Transfiguration. And I think each animal represents a number, but I don't remember what animal represents what number. But I know the animals are supposed to represent a number. And I really like it. I think it's really cool. And I'm curious, is there a code we punch in so we can go into the Transfiguration classroom or get near or go in that general area? And I'm really excited to do Transfiguration because Natsai, Uwagadu, transfiguration because they turn themselves into animals. So I'm very curious, how does that play in with us? I mean, we can do transfiguration on other things, but can we do ourselves and be an animagi where we can turn into animals? I'm super excited about this game. Okay, so let's move on to the Transfiguration Courtyard, and we run into Nellie. And I don't know if you guys have noticed, there's this little joke story, this right here.
I think I heard one of the keys in the astronomy tower. You should listen for them.
Why would I do that?
I was hoping someone would want to play.
Why would I do that?
You'd better keep practicing if you want a chance at winning. Or at least surviving the next round.
Why would I do that?
I can teach you Crucio, or I can cast it on you.
Why would I do that?
And I love how he's like, why would I do that? Like, it's just so perfect. It's so good. Anywho, and of course here you get a quest from her. And the thing I noticed is the boy in the background. It looks like he's staggering. He drunk something and it blew up, and basically the spell went badly wrong, or maybe someone pranked him. Because remember, Alan said in here, students will either want to explore the mysteries in the castle, which is something I definitely want to do, or they'll want to get up to hijinks and pranks. So that's another thing as well. So there's gonna be a lot of that in here. And when I saw this girl, even though I know she's a teenage girl, and because our character is an older teenager as well, pretty much in this part of the world, he's basically a man grown. You know, for those of you who are Game of Thrones, he's basically a man grown. He's 15 years old. Essentially, he's about to be an adult. 16 years old in that part of the world. You're legally of age at the age of 16, but in here in the good old US of A, you have to be 18 to be considered an adult. But anywho, when I saw the other two students and I saw how young they were, it made me say, right, there are children here, like little children here. So it was kind of like a jarring shock, like a wake up call, like, oh my God, right, there are kids here, there are little kids here. And little children get up to prank. So I'm just very curious to see what other students we get to interact with. But let's move on from her. And what she called them, the Daedalus, Fidelis, and it remind me of Fidelis Charm, but I know it's not Fidelis Charm, it's Daedalus Keys. And Professor Black, the headmaster, didn't care about disarming the locked doors. And think about it. He didn't like his job as a professor. He hated his job when he was done. So I like how they're putting those little seeds in there that maybe is not that he's not good at his job, it's just something like this to him is beneath him, you know? And I am very curious to know how we're gonna interact with Professor Black. And for those of you who don't know who Professor Black is, remember in the initial state of play, you notice the man with his hand behind his back as Professor Weasley puts the sorting hat on your head. That is Professor Black, the headmaster of the school. And it's actually chronologically correct, so it's canon in the story. So I love these little details. I think it's so good. And again, Avalanche. I'm sorry. I love it too much. And I like how she tells you, oh, go look for them, go look for them. And I think that's just a wonderful attention to detail. So right here, you notice another Floo Flame, you know, in the Transfiguration Garden. Again, I really like that that's there. And there are some things here that I want people to notice. For one, there are some things people are not talking about. Maybe you might see them later, but there are two things that I notice. One is this boy right here. He has a mission for you. He has a mission for you. So this is someone to talk to. The question is this Sebastian or someone else? Perhaps a Ravenclaw? Because he only looks at this person and goes upstairs, and you notice this poor child right here. somebody mad at him. He got a howler, honey. And then also, I'm trying to see if you see it. It's somewhere in this area. There's another Revelio that you can in this area that if you see it, I don't see it right here, but it's somewhere in this general area there's another Revelio. So there's more information for you to learn. And this area is the defense against the dark arts. And this happens to be one of Chandler's favorite areas. And I think that's really cute. And look, and we're back. I was having some technical difficulties. I didn't want you to sit there and watch me struggle with this. Anywho, but if you notice this right here, this is a griffin. This is not a hippogriff. That's a griffin. So I'm wondering, will we run into these creatures? Because this is a defense against the dark arts. Not necessarily that these are dangerous. I mean, they're a dangerous beast because they're magical creatures, but I don't think they're dark. So I'm just curious, will we run into them as well in this world or not? Because I'm pretty sure there's a lot of different magical beasts we'll run into. I'm just curious if we'll run into these. That's just something I wanted to point out. Okay. Right here with this lovely little student who I like to call a manipulator. She's like, oh, you know, a talented fifth year will help me, you know, with my little, I forgot what you call those, gobstones. And the fact that they tell you there's no gobstone playing and there's no wizard's chest, it's kind of sad. I kind of wish it was there so we could still do it to have fun. But if it's not there, it's okay because there's so many other things. Like Alan was saying, there's other little branching paths. Like there's so much to do. You'll never not have nothing to do, because one of the things that James asked is, what are we going to do in leisure time? Like say you just want to sit and have a spot of tea, or you want to do some study time, or you just want to go walking around. You can definitely do that, but there's always something to do. So you're never not just bored, you know? And I like the fact that he touched that and he addressed that, because that was something I was not concerned about, but that was definitely a thought of mine, is what do we do on like just chill time? And apparently we can do quite a bit, so I like that. And again, I like the fact that you can choose to help her or not, but I'm glad we could choose to help her. And she's a little Ravenclaw. How could you not help this baby? And again, seeing her reminded me, oh, that's right, there are little kids in this game as well. So this little 11-year-old girl, you know? Again, I just love this attention to detail. And I noticed they showed a lot of Ravenclaws without revealing the Ravenclaw. No, it's not here then. But this, okay, this right here, this giant stained glass window. No. Okay. I'm trying to get back to this stained glass window. Hold on, guys. This right here. Merlin and Morgana. I love it. Defense against the dark arts. Yes, and you notice that under Merlin there's a symbol of suns, and under her there's a symbol of moons. So basically, Morgana is the orange moon, and she's brighter than before because she's, you know, reflecting the light of her sun. Yes, India Erykah Badu, I totally quoted that shit. But if you notice right here in the middle, there looks like the ancient magic flame symbol, but the question is, it's defense against the dark arts. So what is this stained glass window telling you? Theory crafting time, kids. Is this that they were working together to seal away something? Because if you notice this thing up here, this like eye or skull looking thing, I can't really tell, and I can't really zoom in. It's just this computer doesn't do that. Well, I can't really do it because it's not like an image I can zoom in on. But what you notice, it's like it's opening something or revealing something here, or maybe they're sealing something away using their magic, using day and night. You know, day and night, what does that tell you? Eclipse. Maybe that's why you see the different phases of the sun and the moon. Maybe this is an eclipse happening, and during this cycle, this time period, ancient magic will be unveiled or revealed. You just got to know how to find it. That's what I'm super curious with when I saw this. So again, I was very excited to see this right here. So yeah, I don't know. What do you guys think? Is this because of the phases of the sun and the moon? It's an eclipse, or is it during this time period? These two work together to seal something away. You know, and the question is Morgan Le Fay in this world, is she a villainess? You know, and her and Morgan, maybe they were lovers and they broke up, or maybe they became lovers afterwards. Like, what is, again, there's actual history on these characters if you go to the Pottermore or now Wizarding World website, and you can kind of read up on some of this stuff. So maybe I might do another theory video on these two in particular. Let me know if you guys are interested, because I will definitely do that for you guys. I think I might just do it anyway, but still, if you guys want it, I will do a theory video on Morgan and Marilyn, and maybe talk about this frame, and maybe talk about how the ancient magic could be tying in with them together with the pensives. Yeah, there's a lot to go on. There's a lot to chew on with this guy, so I'm really excited about it. Let us continue. Okay, so now after you stare at this and you go inside here with Professor Hecat, observing, this room, there are a few things in here as well, and I think this is where the Revelio thing is. I'm so sorry, I keep saying there's a Revelio. There is one here. There's a page in here to reveal in Defense Against the Dark Arts classroom. And then there's like those eye things you see, the eye things inside and outside of the room. I believe they're dark magic or dark wizard detectors. They open up and they notice things that are like dark magic, and I think they're like an alarm system. If my memory serves me correctly, but if I'm wrong, tell me in the comment section down below. And we'll see more of them, but there's a few things that I noticed. I love the little chalkboard here, and the closets. Again, I just love it, and it, like, you see the Professor Hecat when she saves the Weasley or Redhead boy from being smashed and says, perhaps you can blast each other on your own time. I love this so much. It just, like, I feel like Professor Lupin is just gonna walk down the stairs and say, one's at the ready, one's at the ready. Like, I'm just so many good memories. Like, I just love this so much. But okay, so you see this here now. You notice you can interact with the door, and the other thing is right here, Revelio. So you can go up there and do Revelio and reveal something about Defense Against the Dark Arts. I think that is really cool. So the fact that you have that is amazing, and I love that attention to detail. I love that, everywhere, it makes you want to look everywhere for something. And then remember, there are also mysteries within this castle, and Alan said there are new things in the castle that we can explore. So paintings, like, remember when the boy said Accio, and you see the door come to you in the state of play, and it turns out it's a doorway and it leads somewhere. But where does it lead to? Because remember, the Marauders map, doesn't exist in this world, because Harry Potter's dad, Sirius Black, Professor Lupin, and Peter Pettigrew aren't born, and they came up with the map to know all the secret passages. So we have to discover all of this on our own, and I think that's really cool. And I wonder, is that a challenge, finding all the secrets inside the castle? So excited about that. And then these right here, these are the eyeballs I was telling you about that are kind of like they detect dark magic or dark wizards or something like that. So I like the fact that they have that in the Defense Against the Dark Arts, and you see this symbol here where the boggart was, so using ridiculous, so I can't wait. I'm just really excited about this, and I love it. It just makes you feel like I'm just wanting to see a student, and of course you see the horntail dragon. I don't think that's a horntail. I forgot what you actually call it. And then you see a faux glass right here. For those of you who don't know, in book 4, Goblet of Fire, Mad-Eye Moody was impersonated by, oh God, what is his name? Not Rickwood. It's not Fudge. I forgot his name. Crouch. Cornelius Crouch Jr. was impersonating Mad-Eye Moody, and he told Harry about the faux glass. And in a part of the book, you actually notice the foes in the glass, and as they get closer, like they're upon you. So I'm curious, do we interact with this, or is this just a fun little Easter egg? Because when I saw it, I was like, oh, this is so cool. And then you notice there's another one of these glass chests here that you see when you were downstairs, when you were coming up from the Hufflepuff common room. So I'm wondering, are these chests all over the place, and are they all like something you can interact with? So I'm just very curious about that. And then of course, we go on a leisurely stroll throughout the classroom, and there's some other little cool things, Easter eggs within here. And then I noticed this right here, it looks like a torture torture device right here, and you notice him looking at it, but the mask looks like a Death Eater's mask. In the Harry Potter movies, you notice they wear masks that look similar to this in later games. So I'm wondering, is this tied in with Death Dealers, or is this something else? So I'm just curious to know what kind of mask this is. Okay, and then of course, you know, we go outside of the room. Bye, Professor Hecat. And you see more of those eyes. They're just watching you, which is creepy as fuck. You see some more kids talking, Merlin and Morgana, another flu powder system. And this right here, this student right here, I like this little attention to detail. Notice he turns his body to get around you and the other students. Again, this is not the world's greatest AI, but the fact that they did that attention to detail, because it's like a real school, you're trying to squeeze through people, you're gonna turn and let people by. Again, it makes the school feel very, very, very lived in. So again, I love it. And I love all the photos here. And one thing I forgot to mention downstairs, I believe you see the Sir Cadogan, the knight, who was at one point he took the place of the fat lady in the books, and he botched his job, and that was in Prisoner of Azkaban. He botched his job and he got kicked out from his post. But you do see him downstairs. I think that's Sir Cadogan, but I could be wrong. And there's a lot of familiar photos along the wall here. Here, this wolf creature, and then the lady with the cup who's standing like this, and I think she's also in the Gryffindor room as well. I just like that you see a painting in multiple places, because sometimes characters are like that. They have more than one place that they're in, so they go to more than one portrait. So I'm wondering, will she be something or someone you interact with later? So again, there's a lot to consider and think about. And I love this here, and I like the fact that you see a lot of the Slytherin students over here. And then you notice that the character has a spot of tea. You know, you have a little sip of tea, and I think that's super cute, and I think that's so cool, and I'm glad that he actually did that. And you see more students hanging out. You know, you see this girl sitting here, a boy sitting here with this tea, and just like, you know, every day is awesome, and you know, this Earl Grey is divine, you know. And I just like, I wonder, can you sit down? Like, can you have a sit with your cup of tea? You know, like kind of like in Dragon Age, like, you know, when you have like a certain interaction you can do, like say for example, you're romancing the Iron Bull, you can walk up and say, hey, I want to spend some time with you, I want to talk to you, and you'll notice like he'll slap you on the ass, and you two will give a kiss or something. Or, you know, like I'm wondering, are there little things like that you can do like that, like you could tell a companion, or you can interact with something and just have a seat and take a sip. Also like in Monster Hunter, kind of like those little things. So I'm wondering, will we have moments like that? If they don't have it, I don't care, but I'm just curious because I noticed this little scene right here. But anywho, after we have a nice spot of tea, hell, I want some tea after this shit, all this talking I'm doing. There's another thing that I noticed right here. Is this section here. For those of you who remember, again, the state of play, this is the same area you were in, but you were walking from the other side, and it was at night. It was at night where you see the picture of the witch who she enjoyed being burned at the stake because she found the spell to make the fire not actually hurt but tickle, and so she would let people catch her so they could burn her. I'm just like, girl, no, but that's what she would do. But this is the same area, but you see it on the flip side, and again, that's at nighttime, and this is during the day. So I'm very curious to see what we learn, what we're gonna learn or see, or how things are gonna change. Like the students are gonna be in different places. Will events happen at the day, things that happen during the daytime won't happen at night, or things that happen at night won't happen during the day? I'm just curious, and I want to know, will things like that happen? Because that would have been one of the questions I asked, but I know this was a pre-recorded thing, and there was probably things that, you know, he couldn't ask. And who I'm talking about is this gentleman right here, James from XpectoGO. I would have loved to ask those questions. But anywho, and you notice the instruments playing music, and you kind of hear the music a little bit, so it means it has enough volume, and the kids are just enjoying it. Like, yes, I love this. And also, again, This same area was in the state of play, where you notice like the camera going up and you see all this area. This is the exact same area, the exact same staircase. And again, I like that they did that. And then of course you run up the stairs here, and you are now heading towards the bridge right here. And again, I like the fact that you see the students flying on brooms, and it makes me wonder, okay, you see the students here flying over. It makes you wonder, when you're in class, do you take this path? You know, because you hear the teacher saying, oh, when you're on a broomstick, remember you're flying or whatever, and you see those balloons. I'm wondering, you know, is this one of the paths you take while flying, or can you do races? Like, you know, on there, can you do races on broomsticks? But again, remember, you could just hop on a broom and you could just fly wherever you want to go. So again, this just makes me say, I want to know more. Like, I want to know how this works. I can't wait to fly in a broom and kind of like be able to look down as I'm flying, or get on the back of a hippogriff and ride that fucker, or a thestral. Like, I can't wait. Or can we ride a dragon? Because if we find out that our character's ancient magic talent is being able to control dragons, and dragons in this world are said to be uncontrollable because they're just very fucking dangerous, but they're full of magic. Imagine being able to tap into the ancient magic and control a dragon, and then say, okay, you know, let me ride your back and be like a fucking boss on a big ass fucking dragon and be one of the most powerful wizards of all time. Like, I so want that to happen. But again, we don't know. But I think that would be dope as fuck. Okay. And again, I love this. I love being able to see the parts of Hogwarts we were never able to see before because of that. And again, I like that everything has its own like style. You get to see this design again, transfiguration kind of stuff. And you see this statue again, because that same statue was also seen in the Haunted Hogsmeade. You see this statue, and now he has a star. But you also see this same statue in the common room of Slytherin. At the top of the stairs, you see the same statue, and he has a skull in his hand. So at first I thought this was Salazar Slytherin. Now, is this Merlin? Is that Merlin we're looking at right there? So, I'm just curious. Merlin is just all over this school, and I love the fact that they so nicely wove him into the tapestry and the architecture of this school. I think it's so good. Okay, and you see these little things here. I wonder, you know, when you do your Accio spell or Leviosa spell, I wonder, is that for training? So I'm just curious, because remember, it looks like you can do magic at any point. You don't have to necessarily have to be in combat to do magic, you know. And when I do my in-depth analysis on the combat system, we'll talk more about it. But I like the fact that we have that. And then remember, there are other spells we can do. So those things that are in the background, can we interact with them and use them for spells, or not necessarily spells, but also for achievements? Just curious. I'm just very curious on how all that works. Okay. Now let's get to, for those of you who remember in the ASMR rainy autumn rain, when you see Hogsmeade, you see a door with that same lock on it, remember? And you see where it says level locked, it's leveled. So I'm curious. Remember the girl said, oh, you need to find those Daedalus keys. And I'm wondering if these Daedalus keys, remember in the Sorcerer's Stone where you have to fly on the broom and there's all these keys flying around? And although there was one key for that door, but those other keys, is that tied in with this? You know, I'm very curious, because remember she said, you know, Professor Black doesn't want to discharm them. So, you know, these locks only come around every so many years. And I'm curious, is this tied into some ancient magic or something? I mean, not necessarily ancient magic, but is this like, of course it's an achievement. But when you find the keys, remember she said in the astrology tower, it's flying around. So do you have to like Accio the key, or get on a broomstick and get the key to unlock the doors. And remember, it's a level lock. So it means the key has to be a certain level, or you have to level up in that area to unlock the door. Because remember, she said it's not an easy feat. It's not easy. So I like the fact that she touched on it. She mentions that, Nellie mentions that, and you see that right here. So again, I love the attention to detail with these kind of things. Again, Andrew, you bastard. But I love it. I love that he was saying, look at these things, pay attention. And then, of course, you know, as you run down the hallway and you see all these other doors, and I like how Boston's like, oh, I hear something, you know, and then when you turn around, you see Peeves. He pushes the boy over and he's teasing him. So I'm wondering, had you stood there long enough, would Peeves have bothered you too? I'm just curious. And then there's another thing I noticed here as well. Yes, that poor boy, that girl is like, yo, what's up, you sexy daddy? Right here. Another Revelio and the lanky guy with his Bowtruckle friend. So, and it's funny because Boston asks that and what's his name? Chandler answers. I think that's really cool. So again, more Revelio, and I'm looking at these more like rich wood. So I'm wondering, is this an indication that we're in the Gryffindor like area? So I'm just curious because there is the map right here, and there's another Revelio charm right here as well. You could see it right there, another Revelio, but behind this map is the fat lady's portrait. So I think that's really cool. And you see the lions. So does this tell you Transfiguration, Gryffindor, you know, like it's like an Easter egg to McGonagall, because you know McGonagall as well as Dumbledore were Transfiguration teachers. So I'm just curious, is that like an homage to them, or is it just that's just a part of the design? But I think it might be an homage to the Gryffindor teachers. And then of course, you know, there's more stairs. Chandler talks about the lack of owls. Chandler, let me be the first to tell you, I didn't care about the owls. I knew they would be in the game because it says owl post in the thing, so I didn't care. But I did this tweet right here. If I can find it, I'll put it up, but if not, then oh well. But I said to Chandler, I am confident in knowing that the Wizarding World mail will arrive on time. I just thought it was really funny that he mentioned that. I was so confused and I didn't understand it. I'm like, who would complain about that? But then again, you know, hey, people complain about NPCs that don't seem like they're doing that much. So, hey, it is what it is. But also what I noticed is that you can zoom in. Like, I don't know if you guys caught that right here, but you can actually zoom in on this section right here. This looks like a portrait. This looks like portrait mode or something, like, because you could see it, then you could zoom in. But I'm also wondering, does this work for spell work? Like, say something is further away and you need to have a more accurate hit, maybe on Accio or like a Stupefy or something. Is that for that, or is it for like photo mode? I'm just curious. And I like the look of Chandler's face right here. All the owls, Chandler, all of the owls. Poor baby. Oh, I couldn't imagine his position, having to deal with all that craziness. You better laugh. Okay, so now we're getting into the combat area. And for those of you who with the sharper eye, Natsai and Sebastian are right here, but someone is missing. It's Poppy Sweeting. Where's Poppy? She's probably off with the grip. She's probably off with some Bowtruckles or something. Who knows? And Bowtruckles, for those of you who don't know, that's the little twig figure that Newt Scamander had, that are like tree creatures, and they're very good at picking locks. And don't fuck them up, or make them mad, because they'll go for your eyes. But anywho's, also what I noticed, there was no mention at all of a Ravenclaw companion. And I did a whole theory video on who our Ravenclaw companion could be, but now I'm starting to think, is there even a Ravenclaw companion at all? There's a lot of NPC Ravenclaws, and remember that boy I told you about before we talked to the little girl about her gobsmack balls or whatever. You see that boy downstairs with the ring around him. could that have been our Ravenclaw companion and we had to ignore him because that was story related? So I'm just kind of curious. There's a lot of stuff in here that I was noticing that I'm like, you know? And here, again, when you see the little guy here, where he's like, oh, what is his name? I don't remember his name. Liam, I think that was his name, Liam something. And you notice the little Ron Weasley, and look, another autosave. And I love the attention to detail. Oh yeah, oh, okay. Sorry, that's his name isn't Liam, it was Lucan. Okay, and he's like, oh, and I love his animation, right? I loved his animation, and he reminded me of another character entirely, and I'll touch on that in a minute. The combat system. We'll touch on this really lightly, because like I said, I'm gonna have a more, we're gonna have another video on this, and we're gonna end it off right here. I like the fact that each thing, like certain spells have cooldown periods. So, you know, Accio, Leviosa, other spells have cooldown period. But again, when you press the R1 button like this, when you press R1 and R2, you know, it allows you to do things. So while you're playing, it's really cool because you can see how you can do the combination attacks. So this game is essentially like a button masher, kind of like God of War. And I think that's so cool, and I like the fact that we get to do stuff like that. So I'm wondering, will we get like flourish or like you know? And I think you can get up to 100 hit combo, because if you notice the counter, you can get pretty high. So I'm wondering, will that be like an achievement? Very, very, very curious. But anywho's, enough with this. And again, for those of you who might notice, when they did the announcement trailer and you see that wand turn the mirror into this statue right here, I think that's really, really cool. And I'm wondering, will we face these in Defense Against the Dark Art class? And now going back to the class, and then I'm gonna mention character creation, and we're gonna wrap up this video. And I'm gonna end it right here because I think the combat system in this, and I'm gonna touch on that Halo thing in a minute. That Halo thing, I'm wondering, is that story related? That fact that you have a spider sense or magic sense. But anywho, we'll touch on that later. But going back to character customization, I said character customization, the theory on the Halo, and there's something else I was gonna mention. It'll probably come back to me in a minute. Like I said, the character customization. Matter of fact, let's just go back to that since that was at the beginning of the video. The little boy, Lucan, reminded me of a character. I don't know if you guys have read these books, but they're outside of the world of Harry Potter. They have nothing to do with Harry Potter, but they were inspired by Harry Potter. And the writer, their name is Rainbow Rowell, as you can see right here. And she wrote 3 books called the Simon Snow Carry-On series. And I really like the characters in there: Simon Snow, Basilton Grimpitch, Penelope Bunce, and Agatha Lovegood. But those 4 characters I was thinking about in a playthrough, here they are on screen, taking their design and putting it in the game, but sorting them into their own house based on who they are. And if you've read these books, oh my god, they're so good. And if you've never read it, Rainbow Rowell also wrote The Runaways. She wrote The Runaways. She's writing She-Hulk, and she has a new book that's out, and she also wrote Fangirl, which is a beautiful romantic book. I highly recommend that you read these books. They're so good. But anywho, these 4 characters right here, I was thinking about designing them and putting them in the game and maybe doing a playthrough with them. I don't know, but because the character customization got me thinking about so many different styles of characters that you can create. And then also I noticed in the character customization and on this scene right here, when it comes to right here, where you can, you know, give your character a name and a wizard gender or a magical gender. You know, I'm curious to see how that will effect? Will you be addressed as a he or a she if you are identified as a witch and you have even though you have a male form, but you have a female's voice, or you have a male form, male voice, but you identify as a witch, you know, and you're with the other witches, do they address you as a she? I'm just very curious to how that's gonna play into the game as well. That's why I wanted to go back to character customization. But the halo that you get, the halo right here, this halo, if you notice how Alan says, oh, you have like a magical spidey sense, you know when something is incoming, and if you deflect it, you know, it actually works for you in a good way. But when I do my breakdown on the combat, we'll talk about it. But I'm wondering, because if you notice the symbol here around you, I'm wondering, is this because you have abilities to tap into ancient magic? You have a sensor that goes off that warns you of incoming danger. So then that made me go back to, you know, the character creation mode when you notice the scars. Are these two things tied in with you as a character? Is it story related or no? So I'm very curious to want to know why you are able to sense incoming magic. And I really like this. I think that's really cool. And I like the fact that you can remove the mini map and like the little, like, we know when you're fighting the other people, you see the numbers pop up, that you can remove those kind of things. For me, it doesn't bother me at all, but I like the fact that you have that option, that you can remove those kind of things. And I think that's just really fucking cool. I'm just so excited for this combat system and this game in general. But again, going back to the Halo, you know, is that because you have ancient magic? Like, is it because of that, or is it something entirely different? But I really like that you have that. I think that's really cool. Or is that just mainly for just combat reasons, just so you can do your really cool parries and then return with a stupefy? So I'm just curious, and I'm wondering, how can you level that up? You know, how does that actually work in terms of mechanics? Oh, this is another thing. The fact that you get to one on the wooden bridge that leads out of Hogwarts onto the grounds. I love it so much. I love it so much. I'm there. I'm ready to go to Hogwarts. I'm just waiting on to pack up my shit after the end of this video and go to Hogwarts. Let's go. I love this so much. This right here. This is so beautiful. And you see the castle. Oh, so picturesque, so gorgeous. These fucking game designers are so good. And just think, you were in parts of this building. You were just in parts of the building. You know, there's so much more of Hogwarts to explore. Remember, it says 7 floors, huge fucking building. We only just did like a fraction of this place, and I can't wait to fully explore it. And all that. Oh, classes. That was the other thing I was going to talk about. When Alan talked about the classes, he mentioned you don't have to do things linear, and I mentioned that earlier. But what I'm curious about is, you know, do you get to choose, like, pick your classes that you want? Because remember, you're a 5th year. And because you're a 5th year, remember, OWLs are a thing, and OWLs are just ordinary wizarding levels. They're kind of like an exam. So I'm wondering, is that a part of the curriculum? Is that a part of the story at any point, or is it not? I don't know if it is or it isn't, but it would be really cool to see them in this game. And during this time period, the ordinary wizarding examinations are here. Like, it's already in the timeline. I think they started in the 1700s, late 1800s or so, or it could be that they started in the mid to late 1800s, which 1890, late 1800s, that they started these exams. So I'm wondering, will this be a part of the world, or will they say it's after you left Hogwarts they started it? Because I think that would be really fun to give that a whirl, and to try it, you know, because like I said, Transfiguration, Herbology, Defense Against the Dark Arts, and Magical Beast and Charms are the classes I'm the most excited about going to. And the fact that you kind of have free reign to kind of do what you want, I really appreciate that. I really like that. And I like the fact that some of the missions are tied in with some of the students that you're with. or the relationship or the attitude of the student that you're building relationships with. I think that's really cool. But what I want to know, more importantly, with everything that I talked about, how do you guys feel about it? Are you guys really excited for Hogwarts Legacy? Is this your first time playing a game like this, an RPG? Your first time, like me, playing a Wizarding World Harry Potter like game? Is this your first time being introduced to this world? I'm very curious, and I would love to know in the comment sections down below. But again, you know, I want to personally thank you guys so much for spending time with me and going through all of this with me and talking with me about all of this. I just had so much fun doing it. I hope you had fun as well. And if you did, be sure to like this video, subscribe to my channel, hit the notification bell, leave me a comment down below, and I would love to hear from you. And like I said, the ideas that I had, doing a Merlin and Morgana video, there's more videos coming, an in-depth combat video is coming, and life as a Hogwarts student is coming as well. But with all that said, remember my golden rules: choose love over fear, and live, think, and dream big, and I will just see you on the flip side. But with all that said, mischief has been managed for now. Bye.